Denim belongs to no one, but speaks for itself. I began to explore how denim has been used since its creation and how it's made its way into modern day fashion. A timeless material, purpose in ever evolving ways, and can be used to express identity, heritage, and stories. My design philosophy outlines how I work as a practitioner and what's important to me. I like to focus on clean cuts and finishes, catered for an upmarket range, focused on accentuating the three basics: cover, comfort, and character. Rag & Bone and Sports Banger are two examples of brands I take influence from as a designer, focusing on the environmental side of fashion while inviting a political and social discussion, which is reflected throughout my work in this brief. My concept follows the narrative detailing generations of young activists fighting oppression of all forms, from racial injustice, the environmental crisis, women's liberation, and oppressive governmental implications, to name just a few. I wanted to highlight this juxtaposition between the oppressed and their oppressors, through their behaviours and aesthetics not just remaining local, but exploring this contradiction across the globe. The nonconformist attitude of protesters and rioters led me to the idea of translating this into a garment. Police and military forces hold a strong presence in the face of protest, and taking inspiration from riot protection gear, I developed how this could be incorporated using different design techniques through a variety of typically denim garments. I also experimented with stonework to develop silhouette ideas with other garments typically worn by protesters to expand my collection. I researched how wadding has been used in different protection situations like the Gael denim biker jacket, exploring how this reinforced padding was inserted into the garment. Playing with different silhouette features, I began to develop different sleeve types, shoulder enhancements, and how more classic features like pockets and collars could continue this non-conforming attitude regarding size and placement. Deciding on an oversized structured sleeve, I developed my pattern using the slash and spread technique, as well as adjusting it to facilitate a dropped armhole. Developing my padded shoulders for a broad silhouette, I sampled the different ways of how this could be inserted, but decided a padded bag insert sewn in would be most effective. Oversized pockets have a big impact on the overall look of the jacket, so placement was important. With non-conformity at the centre of my concept, this not only means placement can add to the size, but also to the structure and the overall shape. Big pockets could also benefit the consumer with more room for items often brought to protests. Denim jackets often feature a flat pocket to the chest, whereas suit pockets often feature them to the lower bodice. I then brought in the suit jacket features like the lapel and enhanced this to reinforce the juxtaposition and add to the bold aesthetic of my jacket. Protests often reinforce their message by writing on signs and clothing, demanding their voices to be heard. This inspired me to take my wadding development further by experimenting with different shapes and placement to reinforce my concept. I sampled with a few different ways of incorporating this padded wording, and the trapunto quilting technique gave me a clean, bold finish and allowed me to really develop this 3D detailing. I opted to paint over my wording for added definition and to reinforce the message in the same style activists use. Denim manufacturing is typically very unsustainable and a huge issue this planet faces. I researched case studies including the River Blue, Levi's Waterless and Rag & Bone recycling project to explore how they have tried to overcome this issue. A big part of my design philosophy is to remain as sustainable as possible, so it was important for me to tackle this. To achieve a sustainable garment, I reached out to my peers to ask if they had any unwanted denim garments I could repurpose, and to my delight, I was very successful. I continued to develop different patchwork techniques, as I knew different textures and washes of denim would turn out different. Taking inspiration from Kaysenaya Schneider and Marine Sierra Regenerated Project, I cut equal samples from each garment and sewed it into a big patchwork to cut my patterns from. The tonal gradients of each linen fabric gave the piece a really bold, eye-catching aesthetic. Sampling with finishes, I decided on a neat patchwork finish over the frayed edges to give it a more polished, high-end look reflecting my design philosophy. While constructing it, I also wanted to include traditional features that are typically used on denim for durable and decorative purposes, such as double stitching, denim buttons and rivets, while the curved hand cut on the front bodice represented the suit style juxtaposition. Branding is a really important role of identity. Using the jeans I collected, I studied how they used branding and created a logo of my own that incorporated inspiration from my research. Given the facilities, I would incorporate this into my garments, including a swing tag and labels. Overall, I was really happy with the end result of my garment. I feel it translates my concept and my design philosophy effectively and has a really bold style that incorporates all aspects of what I was trying to achieve.